What if a fighter pilot needed to go from cruising calmly through the sky to blasting forward with explosive power in just a few seconds? Imagine hearing a jet roar overhead, then suddenly watching flames shoot from its exhaust as it surges faster, louder, and far more aggressively than before. That dramatic burst of power comes from one of the most fascinating technologies in aviation, the Afterburner. It looks almost like something out of science fiction, a jet engine literally igniting a second fire behind the first one. But why would engineers design something so extreme? Why do fighter jets need this extra burst of thrust at all? The answer lies in speed, combat, physics, and survival. Let's explore, right here, on History of Simple Things. At its core, an afterburner is a system that injects extra fuel into the hot exhaust stream coming out of a jet engine and ignites it. To understand why that works, you first have to understand how a jet engine normally produces thrust. Air rushes into the engine, gets compressed, mixed with fuel, and ignited in the combustion chamber. That creates expanding hot gases that spin turbines and blast out the back of the engine, pushing the aircraft forward. But surprisingly, not all the oxygen in that airflow gets used up during normal combustion. There is still enough leftover oxygen in the exhaust for more fuel to burn. Engineers realized this meant they could create a second combustion stage behind the engine itself. That second burn is the afterburner, and when activated, it can massively increase thrust, sometimes by 50% or even much more depending on the aircraft. So why would a fighter jet need such an enormous surge of power? One major reason is speed. In combat, acceleration can mean survival. A pilot may need to outrun a missile, close distance on an enemy aircraft, or escape a dangerous situation within seconds. Normal engine power may not be enough. The afterburner gives the pilot a temporary but dramatic performance boost. It is like pressing a giant emergency power button. In aerial dogfights where split-second maneuvering can determine who lives and who does not, that extra thrust can be critical. Another major reason is takeoff, especially from aircraft carriers. Carrier decks are incredibly short compared to conventional runways. A heavy fighter loaded with weapons and fuel has very little room to get airborne. Afterburners provide the additional thrust needed to launch safely. Even with catapult assistance, many naval fighters rely on afterburners during takeoff to ensure they reach flying speed fast enough. Without that extra power, some missions simply would not be possible. Afterburners are also used to push aircraft into supersonic flight. Breaking the sound barrier is not easy. As a jet approaches Mach 1, aerodynamic drag rises sharply in what is known as transonic drag. It can feel almost like the aircraft is hitting a wall of resistance. Afterburners help provide the raw power needed to push through that barrier. Once beyond it, many fighter jets can maintain incredible speeds, but getting there often requires that intense burst of additional thrust. There is another reason fighter pilots use afterburners that has less to do with raw speed and more to do with maneuverability. In air combat, turning tightly can bleed off speed very quickly. High-performance maneuvers can drain energy from an aircraft. Pilots often think in terms of energy management, balancing speed and altitude to stay in control of the fight. afterburners can help restore lost energy almost instantly, allowing a fighter to remain aggressive and responsive instead of becoming vulnerable. But afterburners come with a serious cost. They are incredibly inefficient. They consume fuel at astonishing rates. A fighter that could fly for hours at normal power might burn through fuel dramatically faster when using afterburners. In some cases, activating full afterburner can multiply fuel consumption several times over. That means pilots cannot use them casually. Afterburners are usually reserved for moments when the need for power outweighs the cost in fuel. If afterburners are so useful, you might wonder why all jets do not use them all the time. The answer is because they are not designed for sustained operation. They place enormous stress on engines, generate extreme temperatures, and waste too much fuel for regular cruising. They are more like a short-duration power boost than a normal operating mode. Think of them as the aviation equivalent of a sprinter's final explosive burst, not a marathon pace. Interestingly, not every military jet relies heavily on afterburners today. Modern engine technology has improved dramatically. Some advanced fighters use what is called Supercruise, the ability to fly at supersonic speed without using afterburners. Aircraft like the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor were designed with engines powerful enough to reduce dependence on afterburners in some scenarios. That improves fuel efficiency and reduces detection risk. Still, even these advanced aircraft retain afterburners because there are moments when nothing else can deliver the same raw surge of power. In the end, fighter jets use afterburners for one reason above all. They provide extraordinary thrust exactly when extraordinary thrust is needed. Whether launching from a carrier, escaping danger, breaking the sound barrier, or gaining the edge in combat, afterburners give pilots a temporary advantage that can change the outcome of a mission. They are inefficient, loud, hot, and fuel-hungry, but in the moments they matter most, they deliver something priceless: instant power. And in the unforgiving world of air combat, instant power can be the difference between victory and defeat. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.